Coming up this Sunday, it is actually Media Prayer Day. It's a call to prayer for people, for the people of New Zealand media. And so we're asking for your prayers for those who work in Christian and mainstream media, from the CEO to the intern, for the people with profiles and those behind the scenes. And it's not too late for you or your church to be involved. In fact, you can visit mediaprayerday.nz. But joining us today from CBA, Christian Broadcasting Association, is Malorie Carey. Good morning, Malorie.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so you're a recent recruit to CBA. Me and CBA are good friends from way back. In fact, I did a bit of work with them before I came and worked at Rema Media. So great organisation that you're part of there.
Very cool. That's very awesome.
Yeah. Now, you're somebody who worked in for the project for 6 years. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. I was there for a long time. And then obviously last year in December, we got pulled off the air. Not pulled, that sounds very dramatic, but we got taken off the air. And then there's also been a lot of other job losses across the industry in the year that has preceded that. So it was quite a big shift media-wise, and also in my life, been a bit of a crazy time. But
yeah. That's so hard. I mean, it's so hard. And, you know, I was somebody who actually enjoyed watching the project. So, you know, I think, and I feel like you guys, you know, I mean, us too, but more so in the mainstream media, I think you face a lot of criticism. What are some of the things you sort of have to deal with that, you know, you're trying to do your job and then this other stuff sort of coming in and having a go at you? What sort of things are you dealing with, Malorie?
yeah, well, I think the thing with the media in New Zealand, and I guess this would be anywhere globally as well, is that there's probably not a day goes by that the average Kiwi doesn't intersect with the media in some way. It's a very public facing job, whether or not your face is the person out there, because the nature of your work is that it's going publicly and ideally being consumed by the most eyeballs possible. So it comes with a lot of responsibility of influence, I guess. And that means that people are very dedicated and hardworking, and they take very seriously the job of putting stuff out there publicly. But that also comes with a real level of scrutiny and criticism, and that can be very difficult to deal with, and especially with some of the staffing pressures that have come across the industry as well, it can kind of magnify that. And you can see that kind of manifested in the likes of Facebook comments, or whether it's people saying stuff to you on the street when they hear where you work, or I've come across all sorts of that. And I think it's the bigger your sphere of influence, the more that is absolutely coming your way and is magnified. But it does trickle down, as you were saying, even the people that have a profile, the people that are interns at the back, it does affect you all. And sometimes it can cause a lot of stress because it is very public facing.
Yeah. I mean, in my role, public facing, you know, I get bits of criticism. But to be fair, I've often thought, gee, I'm glad I'm not in mainstream media. I don't want to be that well known, you know, and then everybody with their opinions sort of piling in on you. One thing I know, because I've had friends who've, you know, worked in news, and I mean, one of the things I think of when you're like in a newsroom, it seems to be this constant bombardment of all the news that's coming in from around the world. And, you know, I know people have worked in that space and they've told me that it's so hard to deal with. You can't sort of avoid it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, of course, that's a huge thing. And a lot of journalists in particular, you were saying, that work in newsrooms, it's like you can never switch off. You have to be on 24/7, which can really affect you. And also just the kinds of content that you are dealing with. Often it's kind of the worst things that are happening in the world, and you are trying to take that on and disseminate that and get that out to people and keep people informed. But you are also having to read and look at everything and kind of bring that into your psyche, and it can be overwhelming at times, and that is a key part of the job. But it's like you are on that front line of bringing and presenting info to people, whether that's good, whether that's bad, whether it's funny, but whether it's totally tragic as well. And often people are called to go to locations where really hard stuff is happening, and that can be a really difficult thing to deal with as well.
Yeah, for sure. So, Media Prayer Day, what does this day mean to you, Malorie?
Well, it's something that is obviously really close to my heart now, being at CBA, but I've also been working on the other side. And I love that Christians are being called to uplift the media, and to keep the humans behind everything that you see that comes through your social media feed or on your TV, the humans behind all of that at the heart of it, and to really think, what if my first response isn't to criticize what I'm seeing, isn't to, put people down or the names that I know, but to think about the hopes and the struggles and the pressures of those people, and to just look at media holistically as well, whether it's, from the advertisers you see, whether it's the podcasts you listen to keep all those things in mind, and to really do something what we as Christians believe is super powerful, to bring that up in prayer, and to really believe that media in this nation can be brought to its highest purpose, and that the people behind the scenes would just be inspired and have wisdom, and have some peace.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, of course, is that media plays such a big, important part in letting us know the news and important information. And how is it for you as a media professional where, stations are closing down, news websites are closing down, and what's your how do you feel about people actually hearing what is important and the news actually getting to them with the changing media landscape?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult at the moment, and viewer habits are really changing, but it's obviously super important for us to still all know what's going on, and to be able to interact with that global conversation and the national conversation of all these issues that are happening, that the media does lead and set the tone for that conversation. So it's such a key aspect of having a really great, thriving society. So it is a very difficult space for media at the moment, and a lot of industries are facing this as well. There's such a financial crunch that's happening. So it's even more important, I think, as well. In this year in particular, I think there is such a need for us to pray for media across the board, because things are definitely shrinking and there's lots of cuts happening across the board. So it is difficult to see, but I understand that viewer habits are changing and people are getting news in different places. But it's such an important part of our day-to-day in this country.
Yes, for sure. So Media Prayer Day coming up this coming Sunday, and it's an opportunity for you to pray. If you want to find out more about it, how you can be involved, Media Prayer Day, check it out on Facebook or Instagram. You can also head along to mediaprayerday.nz. Malorie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you can catch all our interviews on Star. See you next time.